Hi, I'm Will Pye, and this video is titled Love Is. It's actually a response to a question that I was asked first. It was the 21st of February in 2011. It was a quote that I read in the form of a question, and this quote moved me in a very deep way. I'd been obsessed with quotes on the nature of reality, truth and love and so on for many years, but this particular quote, I felt a visceral reaction, a physical reaction when I read it. It moved me in a way that no quote before or since has moved me. So I wrote it down in my journal with no summary, no commentary, no thoughts, just the quote. And for the first day in many months, I only wrote these few words, barely a line or two. And indeed, for the first time in that entire journal, I didn't write anything else for the next 4 or 5 days, until February the 26th, 2011, which will have significance, as I'll share in a moment. Well, indeed, as I'll share now, because on February the 26th, 5 days after the question that was presented to me in the form of this quote was posed, I was running along a treadmill, and I felt an altered state of consciousness, and as I tried to get off the treadmill I lost consciousness and had a full-body convulsive seizure. I later discovered that I had a brain tumour, which I experienced as perfection unfolding. I experienced with an absence of stress or suffering, and I knew instantly that it, like all phenomena arising, like all emotions, like all thoughts, like all little vicissitudes and events in life, it was simply perfection unfolding. When I got home from the hospital, I went to my journal in this rather surreal state of, fuck, wow, a brain tumour, how amazing is that? How fascinating, how interesting. How to make sense of this? My feeling was that there was just perfection, my feeling was there was no problem, no issue. Just a very interesting development, something to explore, to look into. I then read that quote after the 4 days of empty pages of no writing meant that was what greeted me. The quote is, "Death is certain, its timing uncertain. So, what is important now?" I fell to my knees in tears of gratitude and joy as the unseen communicated to my conscious mind, in case the message of this diagnosis had not yet been picked up, in case my stubborn ignorance might allow me to overlook it. And of course, some part of me was aware of the significance before I was consciously aware of the diagnosis. Death is certain, its timing uncertain. So, what is important now? Love is. It's the only thing that is important. Now, this video I'd like to briefly touch upon something which cannot be spoken of, something which can only be experienced and felt, but that we call love. We might also call it God, we might also call it the unseen, the implicate order, we might call it truth, but to call it anything is to deny the reality of its presence now. And it's to suggest that there is something other than love, which there is not, as it becomes ever clearer to me. Let me start first by clarifying briefly what love is not. The first chapter of my book, currently titled, the title gets changed daily, Blessed with a Brain Tumor, realizing it's all gift and learning how to receive, is called love. And this deals with one of the first gifts of the brain tumor diagnosis experience, how it was so magical and wonderful. And that was the incredible outpouring of love that came through other human beings in my life. It was just wonderful, from the healing, nourishing of relationships with close family members to whole groups of strangers on, or a group of strangers on a meditation retreat, hugging me in one group hug, singing, swaying in motion with sweet mantra, focusing their love upon my well-being and my health. Of course, it still moves me emotionally now to recall such experiences. So this is human love. This is the love we experience in relationships. The love that we seek in relationships. And the love that I speak of is not this. It's perhaps as close as we can get to it in some ways, in some times in our human experience. The love between a mother and a child, between two soulmates, soul partners as it might be. And yet, this love that exists in human relationships very rarely is, in fact, love. For one very good reason. Human relationships usually involve falsehood. They usually involve something which is not real, something which does not exist. And that's this idea of me, that you or I find ourselves with persistently. It can be called the ego. There's no such thing as the ego. It's just a movement in consciousness, a thought that we believed once and occasionally still do. But it certainly seems very real. And in adult relationships where our egoic patterning that we learnt in childhood is triggered and so on, we find ourselves with needs. And we find ourselves with ideas and patterns and conditioning about what love looks like and what the withdrawal of love looks like. And this causes all manner of issues, such that romantic relationships are often not love at all, but really an egoic exchange. You do what I do, or rather you do what I want, and I'll play this, offer this facade of love, and vice versa. But if you sleep with someone else, or you're unkind to me, then I'll stop loving you. Love never ceases. A love that has any condition whatsoever is simply not love. Unconditional love is tautology. Love is unconditional. Love is all there is. Love is this. It's one of the most extraordinary discoveries of my 15 years of inquiry into the nature of reality and states of consciousness, including wonderful states of mystical union consciousness, unitive consciousness, prolonged experiences of non-dual consciousness, all different flavors of the one flavor, if you like, is to discover in this emptiness, in this nothingness, even in my absence, even when I, disappears as a reference point. There is this love. It's a fucking mystery. Makes no sense philosophically. It's a confusing one for the non-dualists. Who loves? Who fucking cares? There is just this love. And in 34 years of inquiring, in answer to the question, what is important now? I've found my answer. And it is here now, not only with me, but as me, and with you, and as you. You are this love. My deepest wish is that this reality, the accessibility of this loving presence that you are as realization in your experience, will become true for you. The writing of Blessed with a Brain Tumor is driven by this mission, by this desire to share this loving presence that I have come to know as ultimate reality with you and as many people as possible. I share it with you in this video, and I would love to share it with you in the book, and I'd love to have you as being one of the first people to come into contact with the book and hopefully learn a little bit more, experience a few more pointers, a little bit more of the essence of what we call love. To find out more about me and the book, and to support my Indiegogo fundraiser on Blessed with the Brain Tumor, there's my website. My left hand isn't quite working after my wonderful brain surgery, just showing off the scar there, looking pretty fantastic, loving that. That's my website, willpie.com, blessedwithabraintumor.com, and you'll see there Indiegogo.com. If you go to projects, Blessed with a Brain Tumor, I think if you type in Blessed with a Brain Tumor, you'll get to the appropriate project. You can donate to support the writing of the book and indeed buy yourself a copy. I would love to have your support. Thank you for sharing this space with me. And from this love that I am to the love that you are, great love.